First of all, we see in the context of this argument that Paul says it's a personal. Community is personal in that community is about a personal choice. He helps us to understand that if we're going to be involved in this thing called community, we have to choose to be community type of people. Not only does Paul help us to understand that it's personal, but he also helps us to understand that in order to be involved in community, it has to have somebody with some passion. You must be passionate about that, because in order for us to be in community, it requires some passion about being connected to people who are not like you. Paul helps us to understand that it's a personal choice. It also requires a passionate perspective. But Paul also helps us to understand in this verse that it's also about a purposeful choice. In that community must be an intentional direction of everybody who wants to be involved in what we call community. It's personal. You have to make a choice. It's passionate. You have to put some energy in it. And then it's purposeful. It has to have some intention. What is your personal choice for coming to church? What is your passion about being involved in the community of faith? What is your purpose? Why are you here? Why are you doing what you're doing when you do it? You have to understand that in order to be involved in community, you have to make a personal choice. You have to have some passion involved in it, and you must be on purpose. My brothers and sisters, so many people were on social media arguing about the documentary when they forgot the reason why the black church ever came into existence is because we were not allowed to worship the way God would have us to worship. We were not allowed to be included in their church, involved in their church. We were not even allowed to understand the Bible from the perspective of the whole Bible, because somebody decided that if we found out the stories of liberation, found out the stories of deliverance, we might revolt against those who had us in captivity and in oppression. So they got upset and mad, and they pulled things out of the Bible because they were afraid that if Africans, in their rhythmic way of communicating, if they ever learn how to read, if they ever learn the truth, we're going to lose control over our people. Can I help somebody? Can I help somebody? If you don't understand how diametric and evil white evangelical theology is, if you did not catch what they had done to us in order for us to be where we are tonight, you have been dead sleepwalking all of these years. I stopped by here to tell somebody, you might be upset with the documentary, but I shouted because somebody needed to tell our story. Somebody needed to tell America. I know they mad at Dr. Jeremiah A. Wright Jr. from his conversation that he had in 2008, but somebody needs to say what needs to be said. It is time out for us to keep bowing down and being cowards, because American history is black history, and because American history is black history, it's also the black church's history as well. We have put up with so much stuff for so long. Somebody need to say something sometime. We are tired of being marginalized and oppressed and pushed down. We are tired of being locked into other people's system. We are tired of being denied our heritage as a black people and as a black church. We ain't going nowhere, and because God is on our side, we are here to stay. And I stopped by here to tell somebody, you can be mad all you want to. It doesn't matter. The regentrification of the Mount Vernon Triangle, Mount Carmel ain't going nowhere. We're here to stay. We ain't going to be pushed out. You can build whatever you want to build. You can do whatever you want to do. But the God I serve, he says, upon this rock I build my church, and all the hell cannot prevail against it. Excuse me, y'all, I feel my help coming up in here. Somebody needs to understand that we ain't scared. We ain't going nowhere. Yes, we're tired of what you're doing to us. Yes, we put up with it long enough, and if you think we're going to be mousy and be quiet, you have come up against the wrong group of people, because the God I serve has already made a way out of no way. I'm tired. I'm tired of watching our people have to put up with so much. I'm tired of those who have the power to bring drugs into our communities. I'm tired of the Arabs and Chaldeans owning all of the liquor stores, promoting all this paraphernalia for people to get high. I know it's a little dangerous. I know it's a little volatile. But if we don't stand up for something, we will fall for everything. If we don't speak up for what's right in our community, if you ain't tired, then sorry, I apologize to you. But I've been tired. Been tired since 1963 when I was born in the middle of drug-infested family. Been tired for 57 years. And if you don't mind, I want to give God a shout, because through many dangers, toils, and snares, we have already come. Do whatever you want, try whatever you want, lie all you want, deny us all you want, put us out all you want. But the God I said, that the God I serve is a resurrection God, that even though there might be some who didn't believe in the black church, I'm here to tell you, baby, we are here to stay. He says it's personal, it's passionate, and it is personal, purposeful. But then verse number two, he says, here it is, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Let me back that thing up, because I know I talk fast, I preach fast. And he says, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and a perfect will of God. Paul in this text is trying to help us to understand that, first of all, my brothers and sisters, we're going to have to make some choices. Non-conformity to oppressive behaviors and habits is a lifestyle undertaking that will cost us the comforts of accepting marginalization as a norm. When people are assimilated into the mindset, this is how it's always been, and you rock that boat, you cause some people to be upset because you woke them up from their slumber of being satisfied with being subjugated with oppression. You disturb their status quo. You upset their territorial posture. You work their last nerve, and you ignite some heated indignation. Here is the liberation. They will either choose to stay on the boat or leap off the boat, hoping that God will catch them. I need to bag that thing up. Let me try to help somebody. When you tell people that they have been oppressed, they will get mad. Because some people are satisfied with being oppressed because oppression doesn't cost them anything theoretically. As long as you tell the drug addict that you can always get high, they're all right. But as soon as you tell them that you can get off of drugs, you have what is called a withdrawal. A withdrawal is the body's reaction to transformation on the inside. See, what used to keep you high controlled you. And when you're trying to get some healing, your body has to go through a metamorphosis on the inside in order for you to get back to your normality. Akil, in his book, From Niggas to God, excuse me, but that is the name of the book, From Niggas to God, he says there are two houses in the black community that are causing more damage. He said there is the crack house and the church house. He says the crack house are feeding people drugs to give them a temporary high to deal with reality, so that when they come back down, they still got the same reality. He said, but the church house is feeding them a high that only give them a short fix that does not help them get through the situations that they're in. In other words, people are coming to church to feel good about being oppressed, to feel good about marginalized. I stopped by here to tell you, I got a holy agitation and irritation for you this morning. God sent me by here. I don't know how long I'm going to be here, but God sent me by here to let somebody know I come by to tell you, baby, you are no longer hooked on the opium of oppression. You are no longer hooked on the crack cocaine cocaine of condemnation. You are no longer hooked on stuff that has held you down. God sent me by here to tell somebody it's time for a withdrawal. You're going to have to go through something. You're going to have to process something. You're going to have to deal with some stuff. But baby Baba, I stopped by here to tell you that you are coming out of that situation. You might be upset with Reverend. You might be mad at the preacher. You might be angry at me. But I stopped by here to tell you I came by to wake up some folk, and that is the black church, to help somebody understand, baby, you don't have to put up with that no more. You don't have to deal with that no more. God has given you a better choice. Paul says in this text, you got a choice, and here's the choice: your conduct. How are you going to live a transformational thought process? Listen to this. Transformation requires thought processes that evolve, evaluate, eliminate, to execute differently. To think transformational community, we must evolve from the old thinking that kept fellowship fractured, families fickle, and finances fleeting. We got involved from the thinking that caused some fractures in the fellowship. Families becoming fickle and finances fleeting. Got to evolve from the thinking that has kept us from not being together. In every family, there's always what they call a disagreement. In a disagreement, somebody always wants to be right. And when everybody wants to be right, ain't nobody wrong. When everybody wants to be right, ain't nobody wrong, because repetition is good for pedagogy. I don't need to say it one more time. When everybody want to be right, ain't nobody wrong. Here is the problem. The Bible is the standard for what's right or wrong. And guess what? I say this all the time. I'm finna argue, right? Flawed people with flawed minds, with flawed perspectives, with flawed pasts, with flawed actions cannot look for perfection in other people who are flawed. Because your flawed eyes can't see perfection because you flawed from the inside out. And we need people who have the sense, the common sense to understand I know better than I am. And if we all have sinned and come short of the glory of God, it means that we all have to start at the foot of the cross and let God be the judge and let us try to heal one another. Our conduct as community needs to be evaluated to make sure people are kind, warm-hearted, loving, gracious, long-suffering, patient, peaceful, non-judgmental, non-abrasive, non-confrontational, and non-biased. That's a whole lot, right? We're going to have to learn how to check our attitudes at home before we bring them to the fellowship. People don't come to church to deal with mean people. They deal with that at home, next door, at the job, at the grocery store, at the post office. They don't need to come to church and people are upset and mad and sour-faced and prune-mouthed and all of the negativity that we find at church. Let me tell you something. Most people don't leave church because of Jesus. Most people don't not come to church because the singing wasn't good. They don't come because of those things. They come because somebody who was in leadership, somebody who had some authority, somebody who had some power didn't treat them right, and they decided I get better treated on the outside than I do on the inside of the church. And we wonder why people don't come to church. I know it's quiet. This is a good time to be quiet. He says, evolve, evaluate, and then he says, eliminate. Negative language, actions, processes, ideas, thought patterns that exude from our lives without warning, which hurt, harm, handicap, and hinder the empowerment of the fellowship of the community. In other words, why don't you check yourself before you wreck somebody else? My father, he wasn't saved, but he made a whole lot of sense. My daddy would tell you to do something. And it wasn't the fact that you didn't do it right. It was your attitude behind it. He said, it ain't that you didn't do it right. It's your attitude behind why you had to do it. Because it's your attitude that determines how much you put in it. I'm trying to help somebody. I got some parents around me. Mama don't change your diaper because she likes to change your diaper. Mama changed your diaper because she didn't want that mess on you. Mama knew that if she let the mess stay on you, you was going to get what is called what? A diaper rash. And a diaper rash for a baby is painful. And you have to put some A&D ointment on the diaper rash so that the baby don't have to experience the tenderness of its skin being burnt, because the A&D ointment had some medicine in it to keep you from burning the baby. Am I talking good this morning? God has sent me here this morning to apply some A&D ointment to the rashes because we've been allowing mess to sit on the babies too long.